Hey guys, this is Russ and Ashley, and this is She Wolf Alchemy. And today we're talking about seeing people out of uniform.
Yeah, seeing people out of uniform, kind of like that strange phenomena that happens when you see a coworker on the street and you don't recognize them because they just aren't wearing their uniform shirt. Or when you see
They're
somebody and
like they're out of context.
like, yeah, they're out of context.
And that phenomena of like recognizing that there is more to a person than the context that you have them in, which
hmm
can sometimes be a good thing, and then sometimes it's a bad thing.
hmm Like you see someone in one environment or we've talked about this on here before, like where if someone only treats you a certain way and then when you see them in other environments they're like a terror to other people, and it's like, but they're
Mhm.
nice to me, like eh.
I, I think they're still. I think he's still the bad guy. I think he's still the bad guy. Yeah. I mean, that reminds me of like when you see those news stories of like
Mm,
someone who did this horrible, hideous crime. And then you talk to their mother and they're just like, my baby would never. He
right.
he's a soft boy. He loves his mother. He keeps to himself. And they will show her videos of her soft boy just obliterating people.
hmm
And she's just like, oh no, that's not my Teddy. That's not my. And you're like,
hmm
Teddy being a good boy to you does not take away the fact he's a terror to the rest of us.
Not even to that extreme though, but that is kind of a common theme with with parents in
Girl.
general. I think if there were teachers here to speak up on that or what have you, they would be like, no, for real. And school is a different playground for kids though. They feel like some of them act like they go into like kiddie land. And
Yeah.
it's like it's like their own world away from their parents. That's why when you're
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna call your mom, they're like, oh, it's like, yeah, you forgot she still exists, huh? Yeah.
Object permanence.
Right. Yeah. She can find out about what you're doing when she's not around. Did you know that? That's an that's a realization. But anyway.
Yeah, my daughter does not have that. Saying you gonna call her mom means nothing. She's like, my mom know I be wilding. She know how I run these streets.
I can see her being like, oh, she don't come here? Okay. Just
That's
on her day.
exactly. That's
Thanks for the
exactly.
info.
That's exactly. I dated somebody once who we were having a conversation. I can't remember what we were talking about. I know it's not something I can say on the show, but I don't remember exactly what the conversation was. But somehow I ended up saying something like, "Okay, don't let your mama find out who you really are." And it was joking, and he was just like, "Oh no, my mama know who I am." But I bring it up because there was just like this moment where we were like laughing. I was like, yeah, my parents have no idea who I am. Like my parents don't know 75% of who I am as a person. And then like having this realization, like there are people out here whose parents know who they are. I did not know that was a thing. I was like 28. I was
hmm
like a solid 28 years old. And I was talking to this man and had that conversation and was out here like, y'all parents know who y'all are? What are y'all talking about?
You know, it's man, that I was in another conversation. We're recording an episode for the other. That came up.
Oh, did it? It's something I talk about often. It's something I talk about often because I did not know. I keep meeting people who let me know that that's not a thing, and
Yeah.
it blows my mind because when I talk about it, people are like, "What was you?" Let's talk about your childhood rest. Like, what was
Yeah,
you
that's what
out
I'm
here
saying.
doing?
Well, because this person was sharing, I want my parents to know me. And
Mhm.
I was like, well, what you mean? Like, and they were like, well, the way your mom knows you. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess we pretty cool. Like, I can say and be I try to be consistent. I try to be a consistent person. So while my mom may not know every dirty deed, you can't tell her anything about me that would surprise her.
You could definitely tell my mom just basic facts about me, and she'd be like, "What?" It's just, but you know what? But even with, so guys, me and Ashley used to work together, but we also used to live by each other.
Mhm.
And we had keys to each other's house. If she went on vacation, I'd be like, bring the dog. If I had a date, I'd be like, hey, Kari's coming over. And like we lived close
Mhm.
together. We were each other's old community at one point in time. And there was a point in time where my mom and my aunt were coming into town and they were staying with me. And I panic called you. It was like, hey, I'm gonna drop some shit off at your house. And you
Like, for what?
And you were like, what? And I was like, because my mom's coming to stay with me. You're like, I'm not understanding. I'm like, I can't explain, but I'm dropping some shit off at your house. And I did. I had like a whole thing of stuff that I brought. And he was like, why are you? And I was like, they're going to look through everything. And I was like, they're going to say they were cleaning. I was like, and I just don't feel like dealing with it. And I was like, there's just parts of my life that I prefer not to bring up. And sure enough, what happened was we
Mhm.
went to work, we was talking, we were laughing about it with our boss because you brought it up, and then like our boss got into it, was like, what you hiding? What you got in your house? And we kind of like laughed it up, and I got home, and guess what? My house was quote unquote cleaned.
Mm. I remember
All
I was on the
sorts of
phone
stuff
with
was
you, you were
thrown
like,
away, was on the counter, just
"Wow."
like, hey, what's this? What's this about?
I remember I was like on the phone with you. You were like, "They cleaned my." I knew it, and I was still just like, "What? Like that is so strange," because, and I say this jokingly, but my mom's never been in my house unsupervised. I just, it's just
Yeah.
not one of our things. Like, she's my mom. I can go in and out of her house, bust up in her room, all kinds of stuff. But my mom would never. Like, I could live next door to her and she would knock like before
No,
coming over. Like, it's just not
no.
her.
No, I can't tell you how many times the Holy Spirit snitched on me and I had my room searched. The Holy Spirit was always snitching on me.
Oh. Mm.
And I was always getting in trouble and getting my room searched or asked about scenarios that were imagined. All types of stuff. All types of stuff. Me and the Holy Spirit had beef for a while. Like for
I'm
a
like,
while.
why are so many of our lived experiences parallel, but
I don't
also
know.
because I too have had the Lord tell my business. And being like, what, damn it, how does she always know? Like, that is a crazy thing to create for a child.
It really is. If you are doing that, please stop.
Please,
You know what
please.
happens? They grow up to get podcasts. And why would you want that? Why?
But for real, like, that creates such a strange dynamic, especially if you're like, trust the Lord, He's here for you, but He's also snitching on you and getting you in trouble left and right.
But just remember, he's also the ops.
Right. But love Him as He loves you. He don't want you to have no fun. He don't want you to live your life. Um,
He was never snitching on important stuff. I was doing all type of stuff that didn't get told on. But let me have a diary, an unread diary somewhere. You know what? Now that I think about it, I actually had somebody ask me this. I think it was a client asked me about like journaling. And I was like, well, do you journal? And I was like, no, it's not my thing. I don't journal. And now I'm sitting here in my trauma. And I'm like, you know what? That's probably why I still don't like to journal. Because I did
I
at one point. But after getting grounded for things found in my journal.
No, but same. I mean, this is weird, so off topic, but same. No, like I had that realization myself that like it was hard for me to actually write out my thoughts because my journal, my
Same.
diary was read
And
when I was a kid. And then I was yelled at about it, about things that were none. Here I was using my healthy coping skills,
Look,
okay, and writing my true thoughts and feelings in a safe space. And you went on in there, read what you read, got your feelings hurt, and you gonna come shout at a child. It don't make no sense.
look.
It damaged me. I literally, when I go to journal, I have to be like, I'm in my house, in my space, and no one is gonna enter it without my, like, it's safe here. It's safe.
Yeah, I still struggle. I cannot write down my thoughts. Those are secret. If I lose them, I guess they lost. Like that's where we are. That is where we are.
I'm trying to figure out how we got here. When
But
a
yes,
unicycle is bad.
we was talking about the snitching and Holy Spirit. That's what we was talking about. We was talking about Holy Spirit and him working for them boys. That's what we was talking about. Okay. But yes, I got there because I was talking about that. I brought that up because that was a big part of why my parents didn't know me, because like it wasn't safe. Like I got told very early, like getting to know me was going to get me in trouble. So I was like, all right, well, hell, who I gotta be? Like, who does not get grounded? Who does not get in trouble for the slightest of things? Oh, the person who's quiet and stays in their room, bet.
Would you say that you're someone who can't be taken out of context?
I think for most people, I can't. Like, if the conversation we had earlier of like, I think for everybody who sees me like at work or as a friend, I think any story you tell about me, they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's along the lines. But no, my parents not at all. Like any story about me, they gonna be like, she did what? Like I feel like completely them and anybody that's dated me. Anybody that dated me, like I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know. I had a conversation with my child's father actually recently, and he had brought up something, and it was one of those like, why do you think that is something in line with what I would do? And I had this moment of want to just be like, okay, there's some like bitter ex stuff. But he's not bitter. Like me and him are on great terms. So I was like, that's not it. And then I was reminded of something that I don't think I'm legally allowed to talk about. And I was like, okay, I forgot. I did do that. I forget you know a different version of me than some other people. Love and parents, the people supposed to be closest to you.
Mhm.
It's can take me out of context. But that's for me and my therapist to talk about later after this episode, apparently. Thank you for pulling that out.
I was just saying, I was just asking,
Right.
trying to stay in conversation. No, because like I know, yeah, I try to stay. I don't like that. That just it feels like a lot of work to me. And I try to be like, I'ma just like take me or leave me in most settings so that I don't have to do too much. I'm more I would rather, especially even in dating, I used to say like I would rather somebody just like see my works and be cool with that, and like than like think of me as too perfect and then they gotta get shocked later on. Like I just don't want that. And that's always kind of been how I felt about it. So I try to be like, nope, this is me. Nope. If I say something smart out my mouth, you should have expected it. That's why whenever people do get me wrong, I'm confused. Because I'm like, I think I'm pretty darn consistent enough that you should have known that's what was going to happen. Whatever it is. Go ahead. What? I want to know.
No.
No, I want to know. Tell me.
No, because I'm thinking of that. No, I do think you are pretty consistent, but there are sometimes, there was a point in time where you kept having people be like, you are like rebellious and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, why are people saying that? And we are all like, why do you think we're saying that? And every time I bring it back up, you make the face you're making now.
Not. Because when you say, because
Oh my
when you say rebel,
And that's why I said we don't have to go into it. That's not today's topic. So we gonna not talk about it today. You can text me about it in the morning.
so I feel like no, but I do try. I try to be consistent, regardless of people's perceptions of what I'm doing.
Okay. 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 Anyways, yeah, but I don't think you're right. I think for some people it can be doing too much or exhausting, but I don't think it's all the way. Like for me, I know it's like different people bring different things out of you. And there are some people who have a more chill version of me. Like I'm just not hype around them. I can't tell you why I'm not a hype person around them. I'm normally just not a hype person in general, but there are certain people like all of our stories together is hype,
Mhm.
is adventurous, is blah 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 blah. So I do think sometimes it is a matter of you do get different people that bring different things out of you. Now, with that said, yeah, definitely with family though, it was exhausting. Like, no, that was definitely like, no, I'm very actively aware I'm putting up
Mhm.
a facade so I could stop being grounded. And I just never took it off. Like I became an adult. You know what? In fact, I had a video I had posted on Instagram like last fall of my mom. In the video I was talking about how like my mom was like wanted to introduce me to this person, and she was telling me like, and don't worry, I prepared them for you. And I was like, prepared them? And she was just like, yeah, you know, I told him like my baby don't like strangers. My baby, she's moody. She don't really talk to folks. She just exactly. Look at your face. Look at your face, because those aren't the words most people would use to describe me.
Moody?
You're moody, and I don't like people. And she was like, my baby, she'll just leave you in the middle of a conversation. She'll just, you know, that's my baby. But you know, my baby's so kind. She's so smart. And she was like, so they know. They know, okay? So it's not gonna be awkward. And the whole time I was like, why are you describing me like this to strangers? Like I had this whole,
Didn't
and she
sound like
was
a
not
pleasant person.
concerned at all by the look on my face. She just went along, made her coffee.
That person doesn't sound pleasant.
Girl, I don't, yeah. Her and my dad always described me to people as moody. It's interesting, but that's, yeah. Anywho,
Yeah.
yeah, that one is one where it's very like, yeah, no, that is me actively
Mhm.
not allow my personality to show, because at this point, why? I guess that's where I am. It's like, yeah. But I will say with relationships, it's just that one is not me trying to keep anything up. If anything,
It's just different.
it's just I think I allow myself to feel more, and me feeling more is a different version of me. And me, I've talked about this, but I think with the rest of the world, I have a very low level of like before you get to my fuck it level, where I just be like, okay, I don't care, and I just kind of go about my way. Like I just stop caring. It's very low, and I don't have that in romantic relationships, and so it shows a different, yeah, side. So I had a good girlfriend. Like I remember being in a relationship, and like my boyfriend being like, yeah, you know, because you know, Crush is just so loving and passionate. And she was like, she what? Like for her, it was just like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Like we just stopped calling you Blue Shirt yesterday. She just finally told us your name. I didn't. So there's definitely ebbs and flows, I think, to that between, yeah, the romantic and the rest of the world. But I don't feel like it's because of actively hiding. I think it's more so like, oh, this is who I am when I'm vulnerable. And I think I don't show up in the world vulnerably.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. Like I've said, I think there's not too much that someone could say that would be like, oh, that's surprising. Like things could be pretty like, yeah, I could see her doing that. And there's certain things that people could say that somebody would be like, there's absolutely no way. You're not talking about Ashley. Like she caused a scene. What? Yeah, but it was because children needed advocacy. Well, surely no.
No, I think it's something that happened, but I remember when you telling me, I was like, you did what?
Cause a scene. Girl, I hate it. The times that it has like, it's not me. It's not that it's never, I'm not saying I've never, but anytime it's happened, I have been like, I will never be in this situation again. Like whatever I have to do to avoid, and somebody putting me in a situation to be in the middle of a scene, we don't have to never speak again after. Like,
I'm good for love.
Crazy. Oh, I don't like that. But I know one thing for me, I used to work with kids. Well, I've always worked with kids, but kids. And when I worked at like the Boys and Girls Club, them churns was everywhere. It didn't matter what part of town I was at, what festival I was at the mall, out to eat. Some kid was like, Miss Ashley. I was on vacation in a whole nother city, and one of them ran up and grabbed me around the waist. And I just remember thinking like, dang, these kids everywhere. And they always are like watching me in a way, like, and it mattered to me because like I've had the experience of having like a youth counselor out of seeing a youth counselor out of context
Mhm.
and being just so disappointed and so shocked and so appalled, and not even just like, oh, this, and as an adult, like I was an adult when I realized how this person was. And it wasn't like a, oh, they're just a person and, people aren't their jobs, but it was very much like, wow, you're sexist. Like really
Okay.
hardcore.
Those type of pages, yeah.
Right. It was one of those things. And like, cause we were like friends on social media and like I responded to something that was like really out the way. And this mug like verbally attacked me, was like, you're a bull dyke. And just like, what girl? And I was like,
Was this when you first cut your hair? Like, I'm just trying to figure out why.
girl, yeah. For sexist men
Yeah.
don't have short hair. They can't wait to. But yeah, and I was like, this man was
That's
a
my
youth
cat.
counselor that I looked up to, and he is up here. And I just remember being, and I was like, I never want to give some kid that feeling. Like they
Yeah.
come across me somewhere and they're like, Miss Ashley, and I'm just all out of whack, just off, like not even in alignment with, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't like that thought, but so we're talking about some more like when you're not pulling the wool over anybody's eyes, you're just
Yeah.
but
No,
there's
no,
also people
no.
who are like,
No,
you
I'm
don't need
not
to,
like at work and I'm like
no, of course.
advocacy for mental health and criminal justice reform. And then I get out of work and I'm like, fuck them.
But I meant, yeah, but I was gonna pick it to say, but there are people who are that inconsistent with who they
Yes.
are.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Even to be like oh gosh, I often think about a time where I was out with someone who I thought was, I don't know, just a calm, decent human being.
Hmm.
And then we went to the pet store and he like cussed out this lady at the pet store. And I was like, what the hell? And caused the scene.
Yeah.
I was so embarrassed. It was like,
Yeah.
who am I out with? Like, what is happening to me? But yeah,
Yeah.
I said that because I think that was my first time in a dating situation where it was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, so if I take you out of this situation and put
This
you
is
in this situation, that's what you're gonna do? Wow. We don't need to go out in public. Well, we don't need to go out no more.
yeah. Look, I got stories on the dating situations. Definitely. That's definitely a thing. The looks good on paper guys. The guys that look good on paper, like they cross all the check marks and they still single. Yeah. Okay. So, because I definitely have stories about those where you're just like, oh my gosh, he's so educated. He's so smart. He got 2 businesses. He's good conversation. Oh, I'm enjoying his company. You make me laugh. You're funny. Oh, you're checking all these boxes. And definitely have had moments of taking them out of context. Take it one, just putting him in a room where other men are able to notice me. Other men are able to
Mm.
look at me, created a whole different thing that I was just like, ha, interesting. Did not know this side of you. Did not know this is what I was walking into with you. Up until that point, didn't think about it, but I was like, oh, we were in a lot of spaces where
So
we're
wow. So
alone, or it's mostly women, or
this leads me to be like, is it like important to take your relationship out of context? Like, to see what it's like? So like when people go on vacation or something, which I wouldn't want to be in a relationship with someone I can't travel with. But with friends, this can even be a thing, right? Where like if
word.
somebody is your friend locally, we can go out to eat. It's great. But if we're talking about arranging plans, splitting money, things of that nature, yeah.
Living with somebody.
Oh,
Living with somebody will have you looking at them like a whole different person. Whole different person. And I be trying to be as honest as I can with folks about how I'm out here living. Like, I called you today just to be like, girl, my car is disgusting. I have not been in I go in my back seat to get the baby out and then go about my business. But I actually looked at it today and I'm grossed out. What the hell is going on here? Like, I try to be, not trying to But you live in with folks that talk about taking people out of context.
You
Yeah,
get all the content, all
all
the
of it.
stuff. Man, unfortunately, it's making me think about that scary series about the bad roommates and how they would like
Girl,
be meeting people at parks and stuff and being like, "Yeah, he's a nice guy," and then they like move in and they're weird and murderous.
I dated somebody who like got their roommate off Craigslist, and I know a lot of people were doing this at some point in time, but I was just like, no, why? Why would you do this? And their roommate was into a lot of illegal activity that they was bringing up in their apartment that was leased in their name.
See?
And it's not even
See?
the illegal stuff y'all thinking about. Me and you gonna have a sidebar conversation about this.
Oh
Look,
no. Mm-mm. Can't just be letting everybody just move on up in you.
girl, girl. Anywho,
Mm.
yeah, just and I'm like, I just don't. But no, vacations is a good one because I have definitely had to learn the hard way. Like you can't vacation with everybody.
Nope.
But
Nope.
you know, another thing I had to learn the hard way, there's people still in my life now who are in my life that I love, but I know there's certain areas I won't put myself in with them because I know the dynamics. I don't like the dynamics of what it is. I have
Mhm.
a girlfriend who like I can't. We are small circle girlfriends. I do not like interacting with them in big crowds or with like large groups.
Mhm.
I'm like you become a different person,
Mm.
energy changes, and it just got really weird every time we did it. Every time we did it, like only time we've ever had fights in our friendship, only times we've ever like had issues. For some reason, in large group with friends, you turn into that girl that we all gotta watch. That we all gotta be like, she gonna get us killed tonight.
Yeah, I think in some situations, yeah, you can be like, okay, this is a friend for this and this is a friend for that. But yeah, when it comes to I think your partner, you kind of gotta see what they like, even
Hmm.
in dating, what they're like in public. We've said that before. How you treat wait staff, how you did
Yeah,
it. I know somebody that always says how you do anything is how you do everything. And I think
I
for the
disagree
most
with
part that's
that.
kind of you disagree.
I disagree with that.
Hmm. Tell me, ooh, why do you disagree?
I just feel like I see people who know that again, if you change the scenery, it does change how they interact with the world.
Mm, you're right. Yeah, because you could half-ass something somewhere and put more into something somewhere
Hmm.
else.
You can be like
That's fair.
top of the line best at one particular thing or one particular area and to be lazy as
Mm,
fuck in every other area of your life. But if I only know you as the star student, star athlete, eats well, trains well, blah, 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 in my head, I probably don't think you're going to be a pigsty. I probably don't think that you don't work out when you get home or whatever, whatever. You can be one
right.
thing in one area. It doesn't mean that's you're a perfectionist in all.
You're right. But you know, when you saying that made me think about how many times I've wondered, you ever have a coworker that's like trash and you're like, somebody's married to you. What is it like in your
We
home?
have had this conversation in my office before. So yes, yes, I do. I
Oh,
know
so
who
you
you're
can
talking
relate.
about. So
I'm just saying, you know, when you're just like, what is it like for y'all at the house? Like, what y'all do? What y'all talking about? Because does she know? Like, I
doing
just think
something
of,
right at home because he don't be
I
doing
just,
nothing right here.
I could not imagine, like, what if, what if you are married to your man, man, and you go to like the office holiday party or some shit? I don't know, but you find out that he is not who you think he is outside of home. Everybody at work hates him. Or I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just couldn't imagine being like, "Oh my God," not because they're I mean, that
I
would
mean, but
suck
it
if I
could
found out.
be a water seeking water situation. Like they trash too. Like all the trash people.
I
Just
mean, that's just possible, but again, I'm just like you said
yeah.
earlier, you have some women who be like, "I didn't know he was a serial killer." You
No, and that's what I was gonna say.
you
Like
know,
I don't think that's the case most of the time because I have seen some things where people just legit did not know. But also, I've seen and talked to more and more people who like got married and they're like, he want kids. I don't even like kids. And I'm like, why? How did y'all get to this point? Like, why y'all? So it's very likely.
Yeah.
That was rare, but the last year, I feel like I just keep meeting folks that like he don't believe in marriage. I'm like, y'all, why are you sounding surprised? Y'all been together 10 years. I just found out. Girl.
Or I'm thinking about somebody I dated who went through, that's one thing, especially for me, when they go through financial stuff and job stuff, they turn into a whole nother daggone person. But anywho, that's one thing. But I was around this person's friends, him and his friends, while he was going through this hardship, and to observe the conversation. And they were so disrespectful. Like, to me, it was disrespectful because they can have that conversation amongst themselves as like bros, like, bro, man, you got to get your shit together. You shouldn't have did woo. But they decided to have this conversation in front of me. So I got to see him give these stupid.
Yeah. I remember that because you were like, okay, I'm going up here. It's going to be fun. And you came back disgusted with him.
It was hard. It was really hard. It was hard to watch them have this conversation and to also see him going back and forth in this weird way where I was just like, stand up.
That's exactly the energy you was given.
It was oh my God. Okay. And then he left. It was the fact that he storms off or whatever he went to go do. And these men continue to talk shit about him to where I had to say, look, like, just absolutely not. Like, y'all, this is not cool. Y'all do not know me. I am a woman that he has brought here with me. This is not the kind of conversation that y'all should be having. And it really ticked me off that he couldn't just say, hey, y'all, chill out, because that was, but also, these your friends? Like, I don't know. There's
a whole bunch of conversations I need to have happen about that entire vacation in general.
Girl, there was a lot going on, but out of context, right? When he was flying to come see me, he had a lot of inconsistencies, and I think, and that eventually is what ended us being like, I can't. But that experience.
Didn't you sit on the phone with him and like help him call for his job or some shit?
Girl, I was in the car with him while he was talking to his job, and that was a whole other thing to observe of him just going back and forth with them people. And I'm like, did you just hear what that man said to him? Why is he out here? It was just, and I remember literally having a moment of like, bum, 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 bum. Like, now you got me being a goddamn job coach, social worker, therapist, what the hell? But again, when all you're seeing is somebody out of context, you just seeing them out of town. Because like I said, he was just flying to come visit me in Atlanta, and we can go out to eat and have us a good ass time. But when I'm ingrained in your world, how does that actually look? What does that actually look like? How does that work? So,
okay, I would like to change my answer, because the more we talked about this, the more I'm like, that's not what I mean when I say out of context. Like, that is not what I mean. No.
I think you clarified what you meant, though.
Okay. This is not.
I'm just saying there are more extreme. That's what I was saying earlier. Like, the examples we're giving is more like, well, that you were giving is more like, yeah, like you said, different people bring different things, different spaces, give different, but like, who are a little bit more in the extreme where they literally are. It's just like you put them in a different setting, and you're like, well, who the hell is this? What is going on?
You know, one of the worst times to find out like that type of stuff about a friend, especially when I was younger, when you're out drunk at 3 a.m. in heels, and you find out like, oh, you the girl that leaves with strangers and is my ride, and tell me I gotta figure out a way home. You're her. Okay.
You getting nice.
We in a whole other city. I guess I'll meet you at the hotel with this stranger. Okay. You invited the strangers back to the same place I will be with conjoined rooms? I don't like that idea. Like, Definitely have had those kind of switch type moments where you're like, no, she's so cool. She's so funny. We're having such a great time and all this great jazz. And then you get into a vulnerable situation with them. You're just like, oh, fuck. Me and my 5 shots of tequila, guess gonna figure out how to get home in this strange city.
Every time you say something about like being in a friendship situation, I can't help but think about that Scammer Chick show.
I don't even know what you're
Anna Delvey. Did you watch that?
I did watch some of it.
Yeah, I think, oh my gosh, there's an episode that literally like my heart rate was up watching it, where she's with, it's like, because like you said, the time you don't want to find out that your friend is shiesty is like, but she's like, I'm flying you guys to this country and I have money and I'm rich and y'all come with me and I'm taking you on this vacation, and then the check bounce and she decides to become erratic instead of paying the bill. What are we gonna do? And just the situations that these people were in because they thought I knew her and they trusted her, and she was flipping that skirt, and I was like, oh dear God, please. You know, another thing, because I saw a TikTok that highlighted the same thing in like dating situations, which is real. And like what you were saying, when you live with somebody. But he was highlighting the point of like, he was highlighting the fact that like sometimes women go through different things with their bodies and they don't feel as sexual, and like men need to learn to respect that. But sometimes people will move in with each other and the dynamics of their relationship will change, and it's like, we don't have sex as much as we used to. Well, yeah, I only came over 3-4 times out the week and we had sex. If we live together, I don't have sex 7 days a week. I still only do it that 3-4 times. Just because I am here present with the body does not mean that I want to have sex with you. So he was talking about that shift of like, but when you're only seeing people for certain occasions, you only see me, you know, dressed up because we're going out. When you come over, I can curate my house to look how it needs to look. Versus, when we live together.
Word. No, you coming over my house, I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna leave slippers out on purpose. Put a t-shirt over the railing just so you know it's clean, but it's messy.
I don't want you to get your expectations too high.
I remember one time I was dating this person seriously, and we were like to the point I was like, oh, okay, this might be my person. And the first time I came over and they were like, oh, you're my person, so I'm gonna show you the real me. And like the first time, like I came over and realized like they didn't clean. Like I remember, because I went to the bathroom because I always felt comfortable like in his place. Like I had stuff at this man's place. I had a side of one of the closets, like, and I went to the potty and I went to sit down and I just looked at his floor where I was sitting, and it made me just be like, you didn't look at the toilet. You need to look at this fucking toilet before you finish peeing, because now it was fine. The toilet ended up being fine. But like just having that realization where I was like, did you just give up? Like, you comfortable? Like, is you like, nah, we talking houses and stuff. It's the real me. I don't gotta clean no more. And just from that point on, just stopped cleaning when I came over.
Like, no, you're supposed to be like, okay, this is like, don't start anything you can't keep up.
And I get it. Don't get me wrong. Like when I have guests come over, I clean because I don't want you to be like, girl, company. Like why not make it, spruce it up? Like why not throw on some air freshener and stuff? Yes, but like it's a whole other thing than like I'm a hoarder.
Well,
but I mean, cleaned at first, huh?
But also, like I said, yeah, that's different. But also, I believe in like shared spaces. So it's one thing that like I might be okay with a certain amount of mess for me, but I would not subject another person to that. And so even when I have cohabitated with someone, like I was a lot neater because I was conscious of the fact that like this is a shared space. Like even having a roommate, no dishes in the sink when I had a roommate because we shared the sink. Now in my sink, it's just me.
I think another one that's interesting that I think people can relate to is seeing your parents out of context,
Mm.
recognizing that your parents are people.
Hey.
Hey. Parents Are People podcast every Sunday at 7 a.m. Drop.
Yes.
But yeah, recognize that your parents are people. Recognize that they aren't Superman or aren't God.
Mhm.
Recognizing that like they aren't all powerful. That I think is a fascinating thing for most folks. I think most folks have this realization in some way, and it's always kind of like one of those like other people don't listen when you talk. I didn't know that was allowed. I thought
I didn't know
everybody
that
just
was
kind of
allowed.
stopped and listened, huh?
I didn't know that was allowed. That's
No,
funny.
no, no, no. No, that was not a thing for me. One thing I can say about my mother is in every context I have known her, she and her little 5'1" self, walking her little itty bitty heels with her little petite self, and definitely can command a room. It don't matter.
Yeah.
That is just who she is, no matter where you put her, what you put her into. Yeah.
I think that's how my mom is too. Well, she's a lot more harsh to other people,
Mm-hmm.
but again, not something I'm surprised by, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just when I hear
Hmm.
stories of her, I'm like, yeah. That's what it is.
Mine is more so when I hear stories of her from family members or people who knew her when she was
Mm.
younger and find out she was hood. Hood as fuck. That's always when I was like, what?
Mhm.
She's what? And it's just like, your mama. Let me tell you some stories about your mama. You better not talk back to your mama. You don't know about Riri. That was her nickname, Riri. They're like, you don't know about Riri. I'm like, you're right. I know who the fuck is Riri. Didn't know that was a name. First time I recognized that. And then for me, on the flip side, the first time I recognized my dads weren't shit. Like that was a completely
Yeah.
interesting vibe because I did not know. Like the first time I realized, like, oh, this is why all my aunties hate you. Okay, that makes sense. That checks. I owe auntie an apology. Cool. Did not know that.
I remember having the realization, and I was pretty young when I had it, that my dad was just not a good father to me.
Mm.
And to my brother, my one that's the same age as me. But he's married and he has 2 children with his wife. And as far as
Mm.
I know, he's a great husband and a great father to them. And I remember coming to that realization of like, okay. But that was when I stopped seeing him as a bad person. Like, he's
Mhm.
not a bad person. He is good over here.
It's good what he
Now,
wants to be.
right, like what has happened that he chooses not to be that way over here is, neither here nor there. And I kind of let that go at that time. But I remember even having to, me and my brother have had to have those conversations of just like, dude, because if nothing else, the man is consistent. Okay. He is consistently not damn been there. And I'm not really sure why you thought that because you had a big important moment in your life, he was going to suddenly come through. Like, let's come on now. Now, the man he also has never lied to us. He ain't never even pretended that he was going to be an active, attentive father.
God.
And that is honest and true. So, yeah, but I remember that was like the first of like, I can see you. I see you. I see you.
See, I had lots of moments of cognitive dissonance where the truth was sitting there staring me in the eye, and I'd be like, but his trauma, you've met Grandpa, his trauma, okay, and just kind of kept pushing past stuff. And this is with both my dads, by the way, like both of them. It just kept pushing through, and then finally having to have a like, hey, enough is enough. Like, we got to take off the glasses and look at this for what it is moment in adulthood and being like, oh, damn, he got me. Yeah, both of them
Yeah.
are people who I think nobody in their lives know the same version of them. Do with that
Interesting.
information whatever you want. Again, that's for me and my therapist. I hate the look you just gave me.
I didn't do nothing.
You did. You did. You
I
definitely
might
did
have did
that, like,
something. I might
family patterns. Anyways.
I might have did something. I don't know. But yeah. People have different reasons for being different in different contexts. And I don't think it's necessarily so. What do you think about like the line between that and like say code switching?
Again, to me, there is a lesser version. Like, I am not going to sweat anybody for being slightly different in different areas, or as long as that core part is the same. Like, if your core is advocate, feminist, social justice warrior, and then I find out like only on Tuesdays from 9 to 5, like that's very different to me than like code switching, stuff like that, where it's just a matter of there's certain elements of me I am leaving out for the benefit of my career. Or I'm toning down. The whole of who I am is not made up, it's not imaginary, it's not that different people bring different things out of me, different environments bring different things out of me. I'm okay with that. I get that. And I think for most people, you kind of have to do it to some degree for survival. Whether that's emotional survival or real physical survival. So that, yeah, I'm cool with it. I wish we didn't necessarily have to do it. But I know sometimes I code switch at work and still now for my own comfort. Like, it's not even no longer to benefit that person, but I feel more confident showing up as work rest than I do as personal life rest. Because personal life rest be out here wilding. Personal life rest does not got it together, but work rest, sometimes she say things and me and the client both write it down. Like, you know what, that was good. I like
So you know what though about that? I think like with all things, when you really get into something, like you can get into a flow state and stuff happen. Because there are plenty of times where things that have come out of my mouth have been like, I'm like, wow. Like I meant to say it, I planned it, but like, but you know what I'm saying? Like you have those moments where you're speaking to yourself, your inner child, the client, the universe.
Yeah. Everybody in that room starts getting in alignment.
It's very, it's a real, because when those moments, I'm like, that is so interesting. And I think, I mean, lots of crafts have something of that.
Is that our runner's high as therapists?
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's the closest we get to it. Like professional rest. She has this like nice calming voice. It's like I turn my empathy up. I turn up certain knobs more. I turn my empathy up. I turn my listening ears up. I turn my like the hypervigilance that I have to turn off in my personal life. I'm like, nope, put that back up there. These things that I already have, but I switch the dials. If it's a mixing board.
I mean, yeah.
Living mixing board, and I just switch the dials a little up, a little lower, and I feel like work rest has a really good ratio. The rest of her personal life, you know, she probably could turn some things up and some things down more.
I don't know, because when it comes to like a work-life switch, I think, yes, there's definitely me in front of my clients because I don't feel like much of me is supposed to be there. There is some of my personality that I like to incorporate, but I would rather be objective than I would rather they view me as a blank slate as much as possible. But then there's like how I interact with, say, coworkers and like other staff and all that. Now that's usually pretty on par. I mean, there's a different set of language. I don't curse as much, you know, stuff like that.
Someone recently told me that I was secretive. And at first I was just like, no. And I thought about it, especially when you make me talk about family stuff on here. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's the thing.
When I make you?
When you make me. When we agree on one bullet point and then you probe, you put on your therapist hat. Your shoulders get the popping.
You don't do none of that.
You don't get the shoulders to popping?
Yeah, but I don't put on my therapist
Or your therapist hat.
because
Anywho,
I
I thought about
somebody
it
else
and
looked
I
at
was
me and I was
like,
like, honey, go ahead.
but I thought about it and I was like, oh no, that's definitely a thing because I had 3 conversations since the new year where I've talked to a coworker or my boss and they were just like, yeah, we know you be doing stuff. You don't like talking about it, but okay, yeah. And they were talking about like podcast interviews, different side projects I be doing. And I thought about it like, why do they? And I'm like, oh yeah, because when we are out at like lunch and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is how you do this. And you got to get this mixing board, and you got to get this, blah blah blah. And I'm like, how you know? I'm like, stuff. I would very much like to keep my personal life, and I have done that. And I'm like, you know what?
You do that though. I could think about a time there was something, I don't know what you was doing, but you were like, I'm consulting. And I was like, on what? You were like, I'm not ready to talk about that. And to this day, I have no idea
Yeah,
what in
that's
the hell you
a
was
well, even there's a conversation me you keep having. I was like, you know what? Just stuff been happening, Ashley, in that area. Just no stuff been happening. Yeah, no, yeah. There's definitely
I don't care. I don't care, Rex. Just go
so
ahead. Just go ahead.
apparently syncretism just crosses the line everywhere.
Clearly, when you wanted to, I was like, all right.
And
And then probe.
I appreciate that you do that. I appreciate that you do that because there's definitely other people that are just like, what stuff in what category? Like, none of your business. But so yes, cut across the board. I think with like coworkers, I guess I'm thinking with clients because I also think like there's a level of professionalism. There's a level of, and that goes back to possible code switching. Like there's certain words and phrases I use with my homegirls. Like I'm just not going to use that word.
Even I was gonna say, even between certain clients, there's things you can say to one that you can't say to another. There's rapport. Like I know when I have more of a rapport with a client, more likely that they might get a little more personality in their therapy. But that's like, again, rapport.
Yeah.
And the client, because everybody can't, like, I'm sure that I do have clients who, again, I don't think anybody can see me anywhere and be like, I am surprised. But being like, oh, is that how you do things over here?
Is that how you dress outside of work?
Yeah, I've had clients who really be like, I wonder about you. What kind of music do you listen to? And I'm like, what does that have to do with your therapy?
I have had clients tell me that a lot. And they're just like, I don't know. I be thinking you be out here. And I be like, girl, we're not talking about that. But when we used to work together, I had a client get out and try to friend me on Facebook, and that's when I was like, that's why I originally was like, you know what? Because there was a while there where I didn't have my real name on there. I don't want folks to stop trying to find me in my personal life. Don't worry about what we're doing over here. We fighting justice on that side, and that should be enough.
And that should be enough.
That should be enough.
Because they get so curious about us. And see, for me, in being a therapist, one of the things I have to dial up is my curiosity because I'm not naturally curious about people.
You really are not.
I don't be. There are so many times I'll replay an interaction. I'll be like, damn, I ain't even follow up and ask them nothing. That's terrible. Like, I just don't have it.
Your lack of curiosity is like mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, we wouldn't have made it I don't think we went to the moon, but we probably wouldn't have made it to the moon if it was up to me. I would have never looked up there and been like, how do I get there?
There's 2 conversations that need to be had about that whole entire statement, but okay. 2 different conversations that could be.
But you get what I'm saying. I wouldn't have wanted to figure that out. Yeah, I don't have. It's interesting. Not that I would be curious about other stuff. Just not usually people.
It's not. You're not. I have so many stories running through my head that I was like, it doesn't matter, Rest. This has nothing to do with the podcast. Keep it to yourself. Where things have happened, and I've just been like, why not? And you're just like, why? Or I have did some deep diving And you're like, why you find out that man's social security number, Chris? I'm just like,
Please,
why wouldn't I
no,
actually?
no, that's something entirely different. Because some of
I
the stuff, I'm like, what?
disagree.
No, there are definitely times where I'm like, girl, why are you looking that up? Like, what is that? And
First
you're
of
like, I just
all,
want to
first of
know
all, first of all,
what.
sometimes little birdies just be telling me stuff. Okay, I legit, and you know, there are some legit situations. A lot, I would say half, where I legit stumble upon things, and I'm
And
like,
that's
oh, I
fine.
can't ignore it. I'm not looking for it, but I'm like, well, now that the universe has presented this, I can't just
Oh,
leave this. If the
okay. And I
the Holy Spirit was snitching on me, the universe likes snitching on men to me.
full circle. I no, I'm a believer of like things done in the dark will come to the light. So yeah, you're gonna just if you're going about your day and it's something you need to know, you're gonna stumble upon it. But you'll go and be like, I dug out and then I looked up. I remember you telling me you had looked up somebody's rent, and I was like, why in the hell are you doing that? And you're
Because
like,
it
because
didn't
I
make
think
sense with what he was saying. And I had stumbled across some
he's
information that
getting
let
too
me
much
know
money.
that the things that he was saying did not match the information that fell into my lap. And I'm not even being sarcastic. Stuff falls into my lap all the time. I be sitting there, and you know this. I'm going through a situation right now where stuff just keep falling in my lap. Where I'm like, why do I need to know the universe? What
And
can I
right,
do
and
with
yeah,
this
I'm always the
information?
person who's like, just bring this shit up and talk about it so we can get this over with. Like, let's go. And you're like, no, I must continue to collect data and dig deeper. For what? What you gonna do with it? What are you gonna do with all this information? You already know enough.
We're gonna take over the world, Peaky. We're gonna take over the world.
Are you? Are you just gonna keep researching? You get stuck in a loop, needing to know things.
Look, it's not my fault you do not care.
They're like,
You are not curious at
hey,
all.
here's how to just put a password over here for her to figure out and just distract
This
you.
is why I'm so mad about you getting the more interesting algorithm, despite all the BS I look up, and you get all the curious shit.
That's not entirely true. I do deep dives on plenty of things that interest me. Again, just not people. There's plenty of times. Google is my best friend. Like I can't like these kids don't even know what they got. You know, I used to have to write stuff
I
down.
do agree with that.
Yeah, I used to have to wait to go to the library and read an encyclopedia. And now in my pocket, I don't have to wonder. I can just Google stuff and go crazy. So I look into stuff that I'm interested in. It just, yeah. When it comes to people, it just that triggers. I have to really pause. Like, and I've had some moments with friends during major moments in their life where they have told me information, and I was like, "Oh, okay," and then, oh my god. I think about what
Actually, this is what I'm literally going through now. I have been telling you about this saga of me finding out the most curious of shit. The most curious of shit. I'm talking car tracking. I'm talking computer hijacking. No. And actually just be like, yeah, man, that's weird.
what do you want me to say?
I don't know, but like something else. Do the deep.
You want me to whip out my laptop?
Oh, yes.
I look up plenty of things.
No, you do look stuff up, but you are not curious at all in any of the other stuff.
I mean, what you've done enough deep diving for everybody. The question is, what you gonna do? But anywho, so yes, consistency and inconsistencies.
Going back to what we were talking about with parents, I do think that's also a little bit different because yeah, there's definitely some things about me that like there's no reason my daughter need to know. That was the mommy before you. And then you came and you changed her life. Like there's definitely certain side.
How cute.
But there's definitely like, yeah, certain sides I can understand why people are just like, you. Why should I be your bad influence? No, we're healing over here. Let me be a different person for you. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing when it's done in that way, but I think it's so shocking because I feel like that's what it was with my mom. Like my mom is a pretty consistent person. I think no matter who you're talking to or like we're all talking about the same exact person all across the board. But I definitely had, moments with her where I was just like, oh, you're a whole person. You're not just Russ's mother. That's fascinating. I thought you were just my mother this whole time, but apparently you got a
Other
whole
people
life
know you.
outside of me. And that's interesting. Look at you interacting with people who are not me, not
That's
for the
funny.
benefit of me. Hmm.
I think I've been for my mom. I think I've been pretty able. I mean, there's layers, of course, that have been revealed, but it's more so as I come to understandings of things.
Mhm.
Not that I feel like she's switched anything or hid anything, but that also comes with my mom was young. Like
Yeah.
my mom had me at 19, so she doesn't have too much life that
Mhm.
happened that I wasn't around for.
Mhm.
And she was always very like my mom shared with me a lot about her childhood when I was growing up. So that's why I said it was more so me coming to an understanding and putting pieces together more
Yeah.
so than that there were things she didn't tell me, because for the most part I knew plenty.
No, there's definitely basic facts I just learned last year. So yeah, no, that is definitely not a thing. But I do think also that age does make a difference because my parents had me. I'm the baby in their 30s.
Mhm.
So it was just, I came at a transition in their life too. Whereas I think my brothers, they definitely do have a better understanding because my parents were younger, and so they do get to see more. You get the immaturity. I got the like, we're well established family,
Mhm.
and my brothers, they got Riri.
Yes.
Yeah. I do think if a person is a part of your intimate circle of people that you care about people that you share with, it is important to see them out of context. It is important to see how they're showing up in the world when you're not around. So you're never caught off guard. Because again, I don't think it's necessarily always a bad thing. I think sometimes, again, different people bring out different things, different environments bring out different things. If I am passionate in, the courtroom, but I
Mhm.
am lazy at home, like it might help to know, like, no, but they have passion somewhere. Like, oh, you become
Mhm.
alive when you paint. You become full of joy. I don't know if you ever had anybody in your life that was just like mean and bitter, and then finding out like, oh, when they dance though, they are so happy and they're so fun and they're so, oh, this is why you still have friends because there's a side of you that is nice and loving and blah blah blah. I think it is important to again see not only how your person is showing up for you, whether this person is a family member, a lover, or a friend, but also how they show up for other people because I think it's important to get the full story of people that we're being vulnerable with
I like that.
for
Yeah.
emotional safety.
Yeah, I agree. It's close to the full picture
Hmm.
more than full story.
Yeah, I agree. You might not need the full story, but I do need the.
The full picture. Yeah.
I have definitely messed up and thought I needed the full story of things, and then like I don't need all this. You know what? This is perjury.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Tell me less.
All right.
So, guys, that's all we have for this week's episode. You know where to find us on Instagram. That is She Wolf Alchemy. Be sure that if you're listening on Apple Podcasts to go to reviews and give us 5 stars and leave a review with some words. We have a new episode coming out for you guys every Sunday morning. And other than that, guys, bye.
Bye.